Is this you? Spending hours and hours every day scrolling on Instagram or TikTok and playing video games. Don't you feel bad? I was like this just 1 year ago. I was always feeling tired and bored of doing anything, until I found one YouTube video about dopamine. That changed my life completely. I am now feeling better than ever. I enjoy life much more than before and am very productive. All of this happened because of dopamine detox. And that's why in this video, I will teach you everything I know about dopamine and what to do in order for you to feel happier and more motivated to do things you wouldn't normally do. Dopamine, also known as the feel-good hormone, is associated with the brain's reward system and produces pleasant sensations. It makes us feel happy and motivated. Dopamine has everything to do with how you feel right now, an hour from now. It has everything to do with your level of motivation, your level of desire, and your willingness to push through effort. First of all, we need to understand that everyone has a baseline level of dopamine. When we do something very pleasurable, very desirable, or something we crave, we can experience peaks above the baseline. This makes us feel very good. But what happens afterward is that your baseline level of dopamine drops. This is making you feel bad or even depressed. You might think that after a peak in dopamine you will feel even better, but that's just not how it works. What actually happens is that your baseline level of dopamine drops, making you feel worse and worse with each pleasurable activity you do. Now, you should be able to understand why kids are so happy and energetic, while some teenagers and adults are depressed and sad. Kids are normally so happy because their dopamine baseline levels are very high. But as they get older and do many more pleasurable activities, their dopamine baseline levels slightly decrease. Usually, depression in teenagers happens to the ones that are addicted to something, usually social media. At first, they feel very good scrolling on social media, but after a while, they stop getting that dopamine peak above the baseline. This makes them sad, thinking to do that activity again in order to make them happier. What actually happens is that they create an addiction and they feel worse every time they go on social media. Let's take a look at some things that people do that are known to increase dopamine. We will see how much these things increase dopamine above baseline. Chocolate. Chocolate will increase your baseline level of dopamine by 1.5 times. Nicotine. In particular, nicotine that is smoked like cigarettes and so forth increases dopamine 2.5 times above baseline. Cocaine will increase the level of dopamine in the bloodstream 2.5 times above baseline. Amphetamine, another drug, will increase the amount of dopamine in the bloodstream 10 times above baseline. A tremendous increase in dopamine. Exercise. Now exercise will have a different impact on the levels of dopamine depending on how much you enjoy that exercise. So, if you're somebody who loves running, chances are it's going to increase your levels of dopamine 2 times above your baseline. People who dislike exercise will achieve less dopamine increase or no increase in dopamine. As I said earlier in the video, when someone pursues an activity or a drug that leads to huge increases in dopamine, and now you understand that afterward the baseline of dopamine drops, people feel pretty lousy, and many people make the mistake of then going and pursuing the dopamine-evoking activity or substance again, thinking mistakenly that it's going to bring up their baseline. It's going to give them that peak again. Not only does it not give them a peak, but their baseline also gets lower and lower because they're depleting dopamine more and more. We've seen this over and over again when people get addicted to something, then they're not achieving much pleasure at all. This can be seen in video games. People play video games and they love it. It's super exciting to them, and then they'll keep playing again and again. What happens is that they will stop getting dopamine release from that activity as well, and then they drop into a pretty serious depression. This can get very severe and in some cases cause suicide. We've talked so much about the darker side of dopamine, so let's focus now on what you can do to give you healthy, sustained increases in dopamine, both the peaks when they happen and to maintain or even increase your baseline level of dopamine. In recent years, there's been a trend toward more people doing so-called cold exposure. This was popularized by Wim Hof, the so-called Iceman.
I must be a genius, because it's so simple to be happy. Just go into this ice bath, is meeting the stress to the deepest.
Getting into cold showers and taking ice baths can increase your level of dopamine. I've seen many cases where after people get out of the cold shower, they feel more focused and calmer. They also feel much better for a substantial period of time than before they get into the shower. I take cold showers too, and I can say the same. Typically, taking a cold shower early in the day is going to be better. These cold showers raise your dopamine levels 2.5 times above baseline, which is very impressive. Next, you must stop playing video games, stop scrolling on social media endlessly every day, and stop eating delicious but unhealthy foods. Once you stop eating processed food that tastes very well, you will see that after a period of time, you will enjoy eating the less tasty food more. What I'm trying to tell you is that once you stop doing these pleasureful habits, you will become happier overall. Not for just 20 minutes or how much the activity that you crave lasts, but for every moment of the day. That's why getting on dopamine detox is so important. Not only will you feel better, but you will start seeing life differently. You will start to like healthy foods more. You will start feeling more motivated to do the hard work, and you will be much more productive. When I tell you this changed my life, believe me, and try it for yourself too. I hope that this video helped, and now you have a clearer view of dopamine and how it works. Thanks.